You ever notice how in every suburban neighborhood in America, there's always that one couple people hold up as marriage goals? Yeah, apparently that was me and my wife, and we had the white picket fence, the backyard grill that only got used on Sundays, and the matching Christmas pajamas that made us look like we were auditioning for a Walmart catalog. People thought we were living the dream, but let me tell you, dreams are just nightmares wearing perfume. My wife, oh, she claimed to love me, whispered it like gospel every night before bed. But what she really loved, the thrill of cheating, the adrenaline of betrayal, the toxic love triangle that would make even daytime soap operas look like documentaries. See, in my naive American husband brain, I thought love was about commitment, loyalty, things you'd actually want in a family. Turns out, for her, love was more like an all-you-can-eat buffet at Golden Corral. Why stick with one entree when you can sneak a taste of every dish? And guess who the side dish was? My own cousin. Yeah, family loyalty apparently got sacrificed faster than a beer keg at a frat party. But here's where it gets good. I didn't find out right away. No, first there were signs, little cracks in the facade. Her phone was always face down, like it was hiding state secrets from the Pentagon. She started going to yoga, but came home smelling like cheap motel soap instead of lavender candles. And my cousin, let's call him Tommy, he started acting weird too. The guy went from pounding Bud Lights with me during Sunday night football to nervously sipping Diet Coke like he was hiding in witness protection. At family barbecues, I'd catch him glancing at her like he'd just seen a UFO, and she'd return it with the kind of smirk that said, "Yes, I'm committing the worst act of infidelity possible, and I might just grab dessert afterward." But me? I brushed it off, because in America, we've been conditioned by movies, Hallmark cards, and Instagram influencers to believe love conquers all. Spoiler alert. Love doesn't conquer betrayal. Love doesn't conquer cheating. Love just makes you blind enough to ignore the fact your wife is probably sleeping with your cousin in the back of his Dodge Ram while you're busy flipping burgers for the family reunion. And here's the thing, I didn't just feel suspicious. I started building conspiracy theories in my head. Like, was this just a random act of infidelity? Or was there a bigger plot? Was my whole family in on it? Were they gaslighting me into being the clueless husband? My aunt once told me, "Your wife is such a blessing." Blessing? Lady, she was blessing Tommy under the table. But of course, nobody wanted to hear me out. I was just the paranoid husband, the guy who should trust more. Trust more? That's like telling a guy at Area 51 not to believe in aliens. When you see lights in the sky, you don't just assume it's a plane. You start stockpiling tinfoil. That was me, stockpiling suspicion, waiting for the moment the truth would finally crash through my front door. And deep down, I knew when it came, it wouldn't just be betrayal. It would be nuclear betrayal, the kind you don't come back from, the kind that poisons everything, love, family, trust. The kind that makes you start whispering the word revenge in your sleep, like it's your new religion. So there I was, still pretending we were the perfect couple while living in what was basically a ticking time bomb of toxic love. Every smile was a lie, every hug a dagger, every family dinner a crime scene just waiting to be uncovered. And I had no idea just how much worse it was going to get. Because when betrayal comes from your own cousin, it doesn't just hurt, it rewrites your entire family history. Suddenly, every barbecue, every childhood memory, every inside joke you shared, it all feels like a setup for the punchline that you were the idiot, the loyal fool, the guy who thought he had love, but really just had front row seats to the longest-running reality show called Infidelity, the American Dream. By the time the Thanksgiving turkey hit the tile and slid like a hockey puck under Aunt Carol's orthopedic shoe, I already knew. The gravy boat froze mid-air, my wife's smile calcified, and Tommy pretended to catch a phantom football pass, because that's what you do when guilt tackles you in front of the whole family. The room went quiet in that American way where you can hear the wreath on the front door, wondering if it should fall off in solidarity. But rewind, because this movie doesn't play straight. The week before, while everyone else was arguing on Facebook about cranberry sauce versus fresh cranberry relish, I was doing field work like a suburban detective who'd watched too many true crime docs at 2 a.m. I air-tagged Tommy's Dodge Ram, the patron saint of poor decisions, taped the tag behind the rear taillight with a Band-Aid from the glove compartment, and whispered to myself, "This is not paranoia. This is patriotism." Then I set up a decoy, told my wife my boss had me flying to Dallas overnight. She kissed me goodbye at the door with that breathy promise of "I love you" that sounds like a song when you're innocent and like a threat when you're not, and I drove 2 blocks, parked behind the Baptist church, and waited. 10 minutes later, the AirTag pinged like a microwave done with leftovers, and the dot labeled Tommy's Mistake moved across town to the kind of motel that announces its quality by keeping the sign's vacancy light permanently lit. The yoga excuse, TM, failed its final exam. I didn't storm in. I didn't swing. Confrontation is for people who need closure. I needed proof, the kind that burns in daylight. Revenge is better when it bakes low and slow like ribs at a Texas cookout. So I took photos of the truck, time-stamped, location-tagged, triple-backed, up to a drive even the CIA couldn't alphabetize. Toxic love had gone full Pinterest board, mismatched alibis, clumsy lies, and a trail of cheap soap. Cheating styles change with the times, DMs, disappearing messages, yet infidelity still leaves fingerprints like barbecue sauce on a white couch. When I got home, I played normal so well I deserved an Emmy. I asked my wife about yoga. She said it was grounding. I wanted to say, "You mean grinding," but I'm a gentleman. I folded laundry, paired socks, made small talk about the weather, like I wasn't mapping out an elaborate courtroom in my head with Tommy on the witness stand, and my entire family forced to listen to the syllabus of betrayal. On Thanksgiving morning, I woke up weirdly calm. The plan wasn't a plan so much as a vibe. I would let the truth introduce itself. We drove to my mom's house with green bean casserole steaming like a confession, the radio stuck on classic rock preaching love's endurance while my heart filed for divorce. Tommy's truck was already there, glittering under a sycamore as if innocence could be waxed on. My mom hugged me, smelled like cinnamon and denial, and whispered she'd set me a seat at the head of the table. "Because you're the peacemaker." Peacemaker, sure, let me holster my rage like the Old West. The house filled the way American houses fill. Too many coats on one bed, a football game nobody watched but everyone argued about, kids running in circles like toy ads, and adults rehearsing old scripts in new outfits. My wife floated room to room like good perfume, refilling wine glasses, laughing too brightly, the perfect hostess who apparently catered in infidelity as a side hustle. Tommy arrived late to the kitchen, eyes doing that wash-rinse-avoid cycle. When our gazes met, he did the cousin thing, half smile, half grimace, a toast to bloodlines and bad decisions. There's a language in families we never admit we speak, a way to say we're fine while passing the salt, a way to cover a betrayal by asking about the score. We sat, the turkey sliced, prayer was said. I thank the Lord for the blessings of truth, the kind that shows up even when uninvited. And my wife squeezed my hand so hard it sent Morse code, "Do not." The first crack came when Aunt Carol asked who'd like dark meat, and my wife, who always chose white, chirped, "Dark is fine," which landed in my ear like a coded message from another planet. Tommy coughed. I smiled into my mashed potatoes. And then fate, that slapstick screenwriter, tripped Uncle Ray's elbow. The platter launched, and our bird surfed the linoleum toward the dog. Everyone shouted. I stood. "I've got it," I said, and that line carried 2 meanings, the turkey and the truth. I crouched, slid the platter back to the table, and from my pocket pulled the printouts, photos of the truck outside the motel, timestamps circled, a neat little storyboard of betrayal. The room didn't so much go silent as it evacuated sound. My wife stared at the images like they were abstract art she could interpret into innocence. Tommy looked at his hands the way you look at your hands after the fireworks go off too soon. Mom said my name, the long version she only uses when she can sense a storm. I didn't yell. I narrated like a documentary voiceover in a series called Family Crimes. Exhibit A, Evening 1. Exhibit B, 2 days later. Exhibit C, last night. Dates, times, the carefulness of someone who knows Americans respect paperwork. This is a joke, my wife said, which was a choice considering the punchline had her fingerprints. We can explain, Tommy offered, and the we in his sentence felt like a knife handle. Explain the motel? I asked. Explain the truck. Explain how your yoga aligns perfectly with Tommy's 5-star Yelp review of the Olive Garden next door. The kids got sent to the playroom because this is how we do it. We protect them from fire while the house burns. My aunt started praying in syllables. My uncle started pouring bourbon like he could drown the truth. And my mom clutched a dish towel as if it might testify. The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't live alone. It brings roommates, gaslighting, minimization, the sudden appearance of words like mistake and confusion. My wife reached for tears, found none, then reached for fury. You're paranoid, she said. You've been different, making up conspiracies, pretending everyone's out to hurt you. That's the oldest trick in the infidelity handbook. Make the betrayed question his own gravity. Paranoid, I said softly. I used to believe in us. Now I believe in evidence. She glanced at Tommy, and in that glance, the floor dropped out from under 20 Thanksgivings. It wasn't just cheating. It was a partnership, a tiny business they started inside my marriage, incorporated without my consent, with my family as their mailing address. I loved you, she tried, and past tense ricocheted around the room like a stray bullet. Loved. As if love could excuse what toxic love does when it thinks it won't get caught. As if betrayal rebranded as romance could pass inspection. The dog licked gravy off the baseboard, American as apple pie. I looked at my mom. I'm sorry, I said. And it was the strangest apology I've ever offered, like saying sorry to a museum piece for the vandalism I didn't commit. She nodded because mothers in this country know the weather even when the app lies. Tommy finally spoke, voice low. We didn't mean to hurt you. That line, the one adulterers hand down like heirloom china, made me laugh. Not loud, not cruel, just a single note that said, save it. I slid the folder closed. Dinner's ruined, someone whispered, as if the turkey were the victim. I stood up, my chair scraping the floor, the sound of a verdict. Revenge wasn't a scream waiting to happen. It was a decision taking shape. Not fists, not fireworks. Something cleaner. Something that would make the word family earn back its capital F. Eat, I told the room, because I was still American enough to care about hot food, and then I walked to the door. My wife called my name. I turned, and for once, she didn't have a script. After dessert, I said, we'll talk terms. The door closed behind me. The late November air bit my face, and the neighborhood looked so normal it felt like a lie. But normal had ended when the turkey slid. The rest was just paperwork. Revenge, my friends, is like leftover pumpkin pie, better served cold, preferably with whipped cream and a side of family trauma. After Thanksgiving exploded into the kind of dinner scene that should have been filmed for a Netflix docuseries called Infidelity and Turkey Legs, I knew I couldn't just let this slide. No, betrayal at this scale deserved something grander, something theatrical, something that would make my cheating wife and my cousin wish they'd just joined a bowling league instead of inventing the world's worst toxic love affair. Here's the thing about America. We love spectacle. From Super Bowl halftime shows to congressional hearings that feel like bad reality TV, we thrive on drama. And I wasn't about to deny my family the season finale they didn't know they signed up for. So I plotted. Not quietly, no, that's what sane people do. I plotted like a conspiracy theorist, drawing lines on a wall with red string. I mapped every move, every chance to twist their betrayal into a circus act. Because if infidelity was their sin, humiliation would be my gospel. The first stage of my revenge wasn't about screaming or breaking dishes. It was about control. I let them think they had it. My wife tried the whole toxic love rehabilitation act, hugging me from behind, cooking my favorite chili, dropping lines like, "We can rebuild, family is stronger than mistakes." Meanwhile, Tommy avoided me like I was a subpoena. The man who once challenged me to shotgun beers at tailgates now couldn't even meet my eyes at CVS. And all the while, I smiled. That calm, unsettling smile that makes people wonder if you know something they don't. Because I did. Step 1 was the church. Every American family has that one Sunday where everyone shows up to look pious and cover their sins with hymnals. I picked that Sunday. I spoke to Pastor Jim ahead of time, fed him a vague story about betrayal, forgiveness, and the importance of truth. He nodded, prayed over me, probably thought I was just spiritually lost. He had no idea I was staging Act 1 of the Betrayal Chronicles. When Sunday came, the church smelled of coffee and redemption. My wife wore a modest dress like she was auditioning for sainthood, and Tommy sat 3 pews behind, pretending to follow the sermon. And then Pastor Jim, God bless his unknowing heart, invited me up to share a testimony. Oh, I shared. I shared like Oprah, giving away cars. I started slow, the way Americans love a redemption arc. Marriage is hard, but love is worth it. Family is sacred. People nodded. My wife beamed. Then I dropped the hammer. Unless, of course, your wife and your cousin decide marriage vows are more like optional subscription services, cancel any time. The gasp echoed like fireworks on the 4th of July. My wife froze, her smile shattering. Tommy ducked like a sinner in a confessional. I pulled out the printouts again, waved them like scripture. Evidence, I said, because infidelity may be private sin, but betrayal is public record. Pastor Jim tried to cut me off, but the damage was done. Half the congregation leaned forward like it was a courtroom drama. The other half whispered like TMZ reporters. And me? I walked off stage like a rock star, exiting after the encore. Step 2 came at the family reunion. Now, if you've never been to an American reunion, picture a potluck where everyone secretly hates each other but bonds over potato salad. Perfect stage for Act 2. I arrived early, set up a slideshow celebrating family memories. Except, plot twist, the final slides weren't baby pictures or vacation shots. They were motel timestamps. Tommy's truck parked under neon vacancy signs. My wife sneaking into rooms where love wasn't the reservation. Each slide a round of applause for betrayal. By the time the projector clicked off, the only thing louder than the silence was Uncle Ray coughing into his Coors. Here's where the satire of life kicked in. Instead of apologies, instead of shame, my wife tried to spin it. We didn't plan it, she said. It just happened. Toxic love always just happens, like car crashes, house fires, or Florida headlines. Tommy, meanwhile, mumbled something about soulmates. And I swear to God, half my family looked like they wanted to throw him in the cornfield behind the house. But my revenge wasn't about fists. It was about theater. The final act came weeks later at Christmas. Oh yes, I saved the best for the holiday of family, gifts, and pretending everything is fine under twinkling lights. We gathered around the tree, the air thick with cinnamon, betrayal, and fake cheer. My wife handed out presents. Tommy sulked by the eggnog. When it was my turn, I said, I have a gift too. I handed out envelopes. Inside, divorce papers for her, a restraining order draft for him and for the rest of the family, screenshots of texts between the two of them that read like the world's worst Hallmark movie script. The room froze. My wife tried to cry again, failed again. Tommy excused himself to get some air, which was cousin code for find a rock to crawl under. And me? I poured myself eggnog, toasted the tree, and said, "Merry Christmas, everyone. Remember, betrayal doesn't get stockings." That was the night I felt something strange, not just hurt, not just rage, but freedom. Infidelity had poisoned my family tree, but revenge had pruned the dead branches. Toxic love had tried to burn me, but I rose out of the ashes like a very sarcastic, slightly petty phoenix. And the best part? Everyone now knew. No secrets, no lies. Just the raw, absurd American truth. My cheating wife claimed to love me, but she was sleeping with my cousin. And I made damn sure the whole world knew it. Fallout is never instant. It doesn't just explode once and vanish. It lingers like the smell of burnt microwave popcorn, seeping into every corner of your house until even the curtains smell guilty. After the Christmas fiasco, where I handed out divorce papers like Santa passing candy canes, my family officially graduated from dysfunctional to downright legendary. Neighbors stopped by just to gossip. The local diner waitress gave me free refills because, honey, you deserve it. In small-town America, betrayal isn't just scandal. It's entertainment. And apparently I had delivered the Super Bowl of infidelity. My wife, bless her delusional heart, still clung to her narrative. "But I love you," she repeated like a broken Alexa device, as if the words could erase motel receipts and cousin-shaped shadows. She called, she texted, she even wrote a letter, which was bold in the age of email, claiming that what she had with Tommy wasn't cheating, it was confusion. Confusion? Lady, forgetting where you parked at Walmart is confusion. Sleeping with my cousin is betrayal. That's not a misplaced shopping cart. That's a demolition derby in the parking lot of family. Tommy, meanwhile, went underground. He stopped showing up at barbecues, skipped bowling nights, even quit fantasy football. The man who once bragged about his truck's horsepower was suddenly allergic to public. Rumor had it he'd been hiding at his buddy's lake cabin, growing a beard of shame, binge-watching conspiracy YouTube videos, probably convinced I was working with the Illuminati to expose him. Honestly, not far off. Here's where the satire of American justice really showed up. Everyone took sides. My mom sided with me, loyal to blood, but not that kind of blood. My aunt, Tommy's mom, claimed boys will be boys, which is a fun way of saying, my son is garbage, but please pass the potato salad. Half the family unfriended my wife on Facebook. The other half kept her just to screenshot her sad, inspirational quotes about forgiveness and send them to me. It was less family unity and more civil war with casseroles. But revenge, revenge, it still simmered in me. I didn't just want to expose them. I wanted to narrate it, to direct it, to turn this betrayal into the parody blockbuster it deserved to be. So I did what any American man with too much time and too much Wi-Fi does. I wrote about it online, Reddit, Facebook, Medium, you name it. My cheating wife slept with my cousin became less a confession and more a serialized saga. Strangers commented like jurors. Some cheered me on. Others called me dramatic. A few suggested I monetize with a YouTube channel. And between you and me, I might. Still, underneath the parody, the theatrics, the church announcements, and slideshow humiliations, there was a bruise. A betrayal this deep doesn't just vanish. Infidelity isn't just physical, it's spiritual arson. It torches the meaning of love, family, and loyalty. And toxic love like theirs? It doesn't just end marriages, it poisons bloodlines. I'd grown up thinking family was sacred. Now, every barbecue memory was graffitied with betrayal. Every childhood laugh with Tommy echoed with, "You fool." But here's the twist. The conspiracy ending no one saw coming. I didn't collapse. I didn't crawl into bitterness. No, I leaned into the absurdity. Because once your life turns into a soap opera, you might as well enjoy the commercial breaks. I finalized the divorce, blocked her number, and donated her yoga mat to Goodwill with a note that said, "Comes with free lies. I saw Tommy once, months later, at a gas station." He avoided my eyes, but I smiled, tipped my hat, and said, "Premium unleaded? That's what betrayal runs on." He didn't laugh, but I did. And that's when it hit me. Revenge had already been served, piping hot in 4 glorious acts. Not through violence, not through chaos, but through exposure. I didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. All I did was shine the world's brightest spotlight and sell tickets to the show. The fallout wasn't mine to carry. It was theirs. 2 people trapped in a toxic love spiral, bonded not by passion, but by the shared shame of betraying someone who trusted them. So now, I'm free. Free from the gaslighting, free from the lies, free from the American dream gone rancid. People ask if I'd ever take her back, if I'd ever forgive him. Forgive? Maybe. Forget? Not a chance. Because betrayal is a tattoo you didn't ask for. It fades, but it never disappears. It stays inked on your soul, reminding you who you were, who they were, and who you'll never be again. And as for love, I still believe in it, just not the Hallmark version. Love isn't blind devotion. Love isn't ignoring red flags. Love sure as hell isn't excusing infidelity because someone said, "But I love you," while sneaking into a motel. Real love? Real love is honest. Real love is loyal. Real love doesn't betray you with your cousin behind the Thanksgiving leftovers. So that's my story. My cheating wife claimed to love me, but her love was a mask, a punchline, a toxic parody of the real thing. And when I found out she was sleeping with my cousin, I didn't just feel betrayed. I felt liberated. Because the moment betrayal exposed itself, I finally saw the truth. I didn't lose love. I lost an illusion. And in America, we know how to handle illusions. We laugh at them, sell tickets, and move on.